Get into the world of celebrities and Bravo Labs with What the Reality with me, Shamea Roberts. I discuss the mess of it all, from reality TV, Hey Housewives, to iconic pop culture moments in the making. We are talking about it all. Don't forget to leave a 5-star rating and a comment wherever you listen to your podcast. Welcome to the pod. You are listening to What the Reality with me, Shamea Roberts. We just have to address the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is me. The elephant is me. I literally was filming this podcast and I had my camera. I was editing so much this past weekend. Like, I had no room to do anything else. I was like, there is no way the podcasters are doing this from the camera. And then the SD card, I didn't have enough space on my laptop using an external hard drive. It was too complicated. And I'm like, I love my camera quality. I love it. Did my research. I'm like, what are the people using? They are using platforms like Podcast Bean, Zencastr, which I am currently on. That is what they're using. And that is just what I have to deal with. I wanted it to be a little better quality. This is as good as it's going to get. I don't think it looks that bad, period. And that's that. I was just like, the amount of editing I had to do this past weekend, I didn't even get any individual clips. It took me so long just to get just to get it all uploaded and saved. It was taking space off of my laptop. I was like, this cannot be it. And lo and behold, it is not. So I'm now recording my podcast on Zencastr. The quality, it's eating, I think, for now. I mean, it looks like a front camera as it's supposed to be. And that's just how we're going to have to do it. But I'm super excited to get into this episode. This is your Tuesday episode. This is the Bravo episode. And yes, we're just going to hop right in because we have some reality topics. Starting off with reality topics. So we have a huge announcement, and this did not come from Bravo's social media accounts. This came from Page 6. This was the title of the article. It said that Bravo's flagship RHONY going off air network, quote unquote, hopes to revive it. That's the real tea, y'all. It looks like Real Housewives of New York is officially donezo. Lindsay Hupberg did all of that for nothing. She was trying to get in with the new RHONY girls, and she was hoping to make a pivot to the new RHONY show. And maybe that's what they're trying to do, is revive it. But everything she did, it was just like, there was no point in doing it. People are saying Aaron had that baby for nothing. I cannot. So Andy did deny this. He denied that this was true. But I don't know, how did Page 6 get an exclusive if this is not true? It's giving true. Do I think it's happened? Yes. This last season of RHONY, even though this podcast is very new, if I had my podcast while RHONY was airing, I would not be recapping RHONY because it was so bad. We had the Bren and the Uba of it all, which was incredibly infuriating to watch as a viewer. And then we had Aaron on there. It was not a good cast, and I feel like they just got it wrong. If anything, I think they can learn, or at least what they're trying to do for New Jersey, learn from Atlanta and learn from Miami, learn from who else did like a soft launch? No, I think it was just mostly like Miami and Atlanta. They did reboots successfully. New York, they just got rid of the whole cast when it just seems like they needed to get rid of one person, which was Ramona Singer. People argue that Ebony and Leah definitely let that show to go downhill. Do I believe that? Low key. Because I was a new RHONY watcher. So I watched RHONY very fresh set of eyes, no social media, just Reddit. Shout out to Reddit. So I was forming a lot of my opinions in 2024. I wasn't forming these when it was airing. And when you watch it completely like I did, like season after season, I cannot lie. Ebony and Leah brought the show down. They did, especially Ebony. And I'm saying that as a Black woman, it was so exhausting to watch every single episode when it came to season 12 of like her educating everyone. It was like, you're constantly educating the folks. And I'm just like, girl, we get it. Thanks. Like it was like back to back every single episode. She was like educating the girls. And it was so annoying. But yes, so Bravo has decided to take that off air. Like I said, Andy did deny it. He said, let's see what Andy said. He didn't exactly deny it, but I think he had reposted something on his Instagram story. And a lot of people are saying Andy just can't let RHONY go because that is his flagship show. That is the show he took complete creative control over, and he knew a lot of the ladies beforehand or whatever. He was very excited about RHONY when it came on. And so when he did the new RHONY, he didn't really, it was like having a baby. It's like, nobody talk about my baby. And we would have guests on Watch Happens Live talk about how bad the reboot is. Like, it's not working. Like, why would you do this? He was like, I thought they had a pretty good, like, last season. He was always sticking up for the new RHONY. I don't blame him. Like I said, that was his baby. But it's like, at a certain point, we have to separate the producer from the face of Bravo. And as a face of Bravo, do you really want this show on there where you got girls lying on other girls about very serious topics? No, you do not want that. You do not want that. But let me see. Andy Cohen, what did he say? So there's an article I'm looking at. It says that he did shut down. He said, because I could have sworn he put something. Okay. So this is May 10th. He said, this is a cute story, except it's not canceled. The article didn't say it was canceled. It said it was off air with no hopes of returning. They're hoping to revive it. It didn't say it was canceled. So that's how I kind of know it's true that it was canceled, because nobody said it was canceled, Andy Cohen. We're saying it was taken off air. Also, if you guys noticed, when Bravo announced all the like new shows coming back, the 4 new shows coming back, we had Real Housewives of Rhode Island, Ladies of London, a new cast apparently. There was the Valley Persian Style. And then there was the Wife Swap. There's also in that article a list of everything that got renewed. RHONY and Real Housewives of New Jersey were not on that list. A lot of people were not surprised, but I think a lot of the women probably from RHONY were surprised to like know they were getting the chop. And they were only 2 seasons in. But so that's kind of what sparked all these rumors. And then we get this article from Page 6 basically saying how they've gone off air and Bravo has no plans to have it return. Am I shocked? No. So in other reality topics, we're talking about Ramona Singer. Ramona Singer has taken a disgusting photo with Danielle Penny. I'm not even using my platform to talk about what that man has done. It's super tone deaf. And then we have Dorinda commenting, saying that Ramona looks good. Dorinda does not know who that man is. I will give her that. But it's super tone deaf. But so when we say we do want OG RHONY, we are excluding Ramona Singer from that. She is not included on the list. Like, Ramona did have her good days. You know, I did like Ramona initially, but she's constantly partying at Mar-a-Lago, whatever the heck it is. She's constantly at a puppy auction there, and she's constantly posted up with creeps and weirdos. So when I say bring back OG RHONY as a new OG RHONY lover, Ramona is not included on that list. My dream cast for new RHONY OG edition: Carol Radziwill. That is a very neutral playing field. Luann de Lesseps, Sonia Morgan. I'm going to still say with Dorinda just because she did not know who that man is. Because she did respond to someone. They were like, why are you commenting on this? Like, this is a literal murderer, alleged. And she's like, oh my gosh, I did not know that. And also there's, of course, some racial ties that tie into that. And I don't know, maybe I'm being biased, but watching Dorinda, you know, we know what Dorinda really stands for and her daughter stands for, so I'm hoping she's not like that. But you know what, nothing really shocks me, so therefore I was like, Dorinda was on that before all of this happened. So I have Luann, Carol Radziwill, because that's a story right there. Like, they clearly still hate each other. Sonia Morgan, Dorinda, and she might still be on pause, And then I would say probably Bethany Frankel. I would say Bethany Frankel. And you know who else I would throw in there just for some fun? I'd throw in Tinsley. So that's giving like OG cast for real, for real. I would throw in Tinsley, and you know who else I would? Jules, because Jules was really good on that season. I think she really stood up for herself. A lot of people said she was bullied and all of that stuff, but I do think she really stood up for herself. And I would just like to see where she's at, because she was never fired, but she just couldn't take it because she was going through that divorce with Michael at the time and found out he was cheating on her, all of this stuff, yada, yada, yada. But that's my dream cast. Dorinda may still be on pause given what the information we just found out. But Bethany Frankel also is responding to the RHONY, like, going off air. And she just said, like, you can't get a bunch of people you think the audience wants. You have to get literally a cast of friends. And I think that was the biggest misfortune with the new RHONY cast, is that we knew they were not friends, or if they were friends, it was very fast, fake friends. They weren't really friends. So it just really didn't work. I mean, it's unfortunate. It lasted 2 seasons. I'm not shocked. You know what they can bring back? Summer House MV. And then we have also Preston from Summer House sounding off on Ramona Singer in that picture and saying, but this is what a network will allow. This is how tone deaf y'all are. All of this stuff. I love Preston. Bring back Summer House MV and give us a new cast, because we can definitely do without Jordan in Summer. I liked Noel. I love Noel. Bring back Preston. Bring back Alex. Bring back Nick, who I did not know was like nearly 40 years old. Who else? And then you could keep Jasmine and Silas at home. And then bring on some new girls, some new fun girls that aren't in their emotions and feelings and that just want to have fun during the summer. Because summer should be fun. Other reality topics. So we got Emmy and Will from Southern Hospitality. That is also another show I definitely enjoy watching. We have them from Southern Hospitality. They are engaged. So I was on Reddit a couple weeks ago, and someone was like, they ran into Emmy from Southern Hospitality. Guys, if you guys really want the real tea, go onto Reddit. Get into some subreddits, because you will find some information out. So this person ran into Emmy, and they said that Emmy was acting very jittery, very excited, very happy, basically saying she was getting proposed to soon, like she knew it was happening. Fast forward a couple weeks later, there's an exclusive article from People magazine that they are very well engaged. They got engaged on the beach, and she decided to wear block heels on the beach in the sand. Don't know what sense that makes. Emmy, good luck. I mean, it's not too late to get out of it. I hope she doesn't do a Luann where she's going to be totally traumatized by this man, even though all your friends are telling you this is not the man for you. I really hope she does not I hope she doesn't walk down the aisle. But maybe she should, because then it'll make an even better season for season 4 of Southern Hospitality. But I just had to clown Emmy for a second, because everyone was asking her, oh my gosh, this engagement dress is beautiful, or the dress you got engaged in is beautiful. Where did you get it from? So she shared in her link tree where she got it from, or her LTK. She took and she pinned it on her Instagram story. I'm going to try to find it. And essentially put her size in there as well. And it said XXS. It was like extra, extra small. Girl, nobody was asking for a size reference. I think we can all tell you are in triple X small. And I don't think it's healthy. I don't think she looks healthy at all. She actually looks very troubled. She looks very bothered, and she looks like she doesn't sleep at night. But Emmy wanted to share with the girls that she is in an XXS dress. When they asked her where was it from, she just had to include her size in there too. And I'm just like, okay, Emmy, congratulations. You are officially a model in the freaking 80s. Every other model. I don't know. It's not a flex. It's not a flex. And the thing is, she thinks getting engaged to this man is a flex. And it's sad. It's really sad. Some other reality topics. Molly May. Molly May is my girl. Pretty Little Thing. Love Island. So her part 2 of her documentary did come out. I have not watched it. Molly May is my girl. I will say that again. Molly May is my girl. The first, I couldn't get into the first documentary. I don't know why we're calling it a documentary. I think it's a reality show. So the part 1 is basically like her building her brand, which has some really cute stuff. I'm blanking on the name right now. Building her brand and basically the breakup with Tommy, calling off the engagement, Tommy's alleged drinking problem. That was the tea. And how he wasn't a drunk, but he would get too drunk or whatever. So that was that. But we're getting a part 2 where they've allegedly made up. So I kind of knew they made up because New Year's, I think they were together and they shared a kiss together. I think that was on Reddit. It's her baby daddy. Her and Tommy have been together for a while. But you can just tell her family does not like Tommy. So I just hope, and it does seem to be getting in between her and her sister from the clips I've seen. I'm going to try to give it a watch. I'm not going to recap it, but Molly May's my girl. And if they are back together, I hope he did change some things about himself. And I hope she didn't just accept him again, because that seems to be Molly May's issue. Okay, other reality topics. So let's get into this Tory Lanez. So it looks like Tory Lanez was stabbed in his not in the hospital. He was stabbed in prison. So he was like rushed immediately to the hospital. These reports were reporting early. This will be Monday morning. And I was like, what happened? So he's currently serving a 10-year sentence, obviously, for the shooting of for shooting Megan Thee Stallion. He was convicted December 2022. This has caused a huge social media, hip hop, pop culture, entertainment debate. A lot of people believe he should not be serving a 10-year sentence. I am not one of those people. And then a lot of people are not believing Meg Thee Stallion that this happened. Either way, he was serving this sentence. And I guess it's been 2 years. And has it been 2 years since he's been in prison? Maybe. I don't know. Let me see what this tells me. Yeah, and then she also has a restraining order until January 9th, 2030. And I think that'll be like a little bit after he gets out of jail. Dang. Yeah, and she filed that 2024. Wow. So he was stabbed. There's no more information on that. I hope he's okay so he can continue to serve his prison sentence. But yeah, I definitely hope he is okay, because yikes, what happened there? All right, what else is going on in reality topics? Let's talk about Summer House really quick, because there's rumors and nastiness out there that something is going on right now with Summer House. We're not getting any Summer House after shows. Emerald was edited out completely of the last episode. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. People are saying it has something to do with the announcement. We haven't gotten the reunion looks yet, and we know they already filmed the reunion. I think there's 2 more episodes left. I don't think this is the season finale coming up. If it is, I will be devastated. I hope it's not. I'm pretty sure they have 2 more episodes left. I think they do, because next episode will be the last episode for Summer House. The following one will kind of be like the final party, or like the continuation of that. And then we'll get a scene of Paige talking to Lindsay and Sierra about Craig and about the breakup. So I think we have 2 more episodes left. Either way, we didn't get any after shows this season. We probably got 2 after shows. One of the after shows was literally, I think it was 13 minutes, y'all. So we don't know what's going on with Summer House. People are saying Amanda's pregnant. She's been reposting a lot of old stuff. She hasn't been posting any new pictures. So that would probably get in the way of her attending an after show to be a big bubble to fill. Some people are saying Emerald had issues with his legal documentation status. I hope that's not true, but I could see it also being true as to why, like, we're not filming the after shows and he's getting edited out, or something's going on legally there. And then I'm also hearing that Lindsay had an announcement, or Paige had an announcement. Paige has a show going on right now on YouTube called Hannah and Paige Try New Things. So I don't know if that is going to be like a state of contention, because that's going to be produced on YouTube, not by any network. But I don't know if it's like Paige is saying she's done with the show. I can see Paige and Lindsay walking away. However, now that we know for a fact RHONY will not be returning anytime soon, I don't know if Lindsay is going to walk away or not, because it's like, unless she goes on Rhode Island, because I guess Rhode Island is very close to New York City. But yeah, there's supposed to be some announcement going on, or maybe Bravo is holding something in the files. What do you guys think it is? People are saying Amanda could be pregnant, which would totally not make sense to me, because Amanda does not want to be pregnant right now, at least what we're seeing. I talked about this in one of my like last episodes, how I just feel like Amanda and Kyle are never on the same page, chapter, book, ever. Other reality topics. So BravoCon was officially announced. It's going to be in Vegas again in November. I definitely want to go, but I hear it's kind of just overhyped. But yes, BravoCon will be happening, and there was a sneak peek of Housewives talent that is going to be there, and it was for the different housewife shows, and Sheree Whitfield was on the list for Atlanta. As you guys know, she is not currently filming for Atlanta, but we don't know if this is a sneak peek for the season 17. Britt Eady was also on the list. Kenya Moore is not on the list. Nene Leakes is not on the list. So they're saying this, the only reason Sheree's there is because this is the 20th housewife reunion. 20th year Housewives has been on. That is insane to me. So they're saying it premiered in 2005. OC, they're the first ones. So they're saying Sheree was invited back as an OG, but not necessarily meaning she's going to be filming. I don't know what that means, because I think low-key she could possibly be filming 110%. Also, Beverly Hills. It looks like Dorit was the only talent for Beverly Hills. They're still trying to get Beverly Hills talent together. So it looks like Andy Cohen, he always has his NBCU meeting with execs, and then he likes to show off which housewives are really doing their big one. And from the picture, this was just very interesting to see. So it looks like I was super giddy and happy to report Erica Jane may not be returning to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but this picture says otherwise. So Erica Jane is in here. Phaedra Parks is in here. Of course, Andy loves Phaedra, y'all. We have Alexia and Marisol from Miami. Of course, Giselle Bryan is here. Of course, Wendy Osefo is also in the picture. And then we also have Shamea Morton from Atlanta, Dorit as well from Beverly Hills, Tamra Judge, and this Gina girl who I've never watched OC, but I do know Tamra Judge, because who does not know Tamra Judge? But it looks like that is who he is showing to NBCU. Those are his starting 10 housewives. Last year, I think it was like Garcelle, Kyle. I can't remember who else it was. It was definitely not Erica and Dorit. So that is very interesting how the tides have turned. And Erica and Dorit are eating it up. I cannot stand them either way. So that was interesting to see that that's who he is bringing to the NBCU execs to show off how successful Housewives is. Is it shocking that Phaedra is there? No, not at all. I am shocked Shamea is there over Portia, though. And maybe he's seeing Shamea or like Portia in a different light. It seems like a lot of people are. Of course, we're going to get into that because this is the Atlanta recap. But let's talk about the Diddy revelations from trial. You are listening to What the Reality with me, Kasha Roberts. So one of the biggest revelations, obviously, is all of the details coming out of this trial and everything he did to Cassie. And one of the biggest debates has been, is this a trial for consensual sex, or like in his behaviors in that? Like, that's what his defense is saying. It's like, we are now questioning a man's consensual sex life, and that should not be on trial. It should not be on trial that he is a jerk and mean. But no, there is so much more to this. For example, we do have a male escort saying he could hear Sean Diddy Combs assaulting Cassie. I'm looking at an article from E! News. He said when Cassie didn't join Sean right when he called for her. On one occasion, Daniel Phillip, who is testifying, says that Combs threw a liquor bottle in her direction, then grabbed her by the hair and dragged her into the bedroom. She was screaming, Phillip said, and from the next room, what I heard sounded like him slapping her. Phillip said he heard Combs say, "I tell you to come here, you come here now, not later." Phillip said he was terrified and did not intervene. He further testified that he overheard what sounded like Combs assaulting Cassie on a separate occasion at the Essex House Hotel in New York. He said, "I heard her yelling, 'I'm sorry, I'm sorry.' Someone was being slapped around and slammed around the room," Phillip said. He then also said, Phillip said, "And I looked around the corner and I saw Mr. Combs walk out of the hotel altogether without clothes. He might have had a towel on." Cassie came out of the room and jumped into Phillip's lap, so the escort's lap, and basically said, like, "I'll be okay." Basically tried to convince me that it's okay, I'll be okay. Phillip continued, and I said, "It's not okay, you need to get help." I tried to explain to her that she was in real danger if she stayed with him, Phillip said. Asked by prosecutor Maureen Kami why he didn't call the police, Phillip testified that he thought Combs as someone, quote unquote, with unlimited power, and chances are, even if I did go to the police, that I might still end up losing my life. And that's a reality for a lot of people that have been around Diddy, is that, you know, he has ties with the police force. He has ties with the government. He has ties with basically anyone in high power. So if you were witnessing this stuff, that could be your life on the line. Another incident, we have an escort saying that he was paid by Cassie to, you know, have I don't want my podcast to be leaked explicit, but this episode is, because we're talking about the Diddy of it all. He was paid for, you know, SX while Combs would watch and do other things. I'm not going to get into that, but that's another revelation. Also, another one, Cassie had a purple eye after being attacked by Combs, according to a witness. She was scared, Flores said on the stand. She was in the corner, hood up, covered up. I couldn't see her face. She was pretty much in the corner. On the floor was a destroyed flower vase. And yeah, so I'm pretty sure this is from the video that we saw leak from CNN last year, May 2024, video of Diddy essentially chasing her and dragging her down the hallway. He also did throw a flower vase at her. We did see that on film. So this is what this witness is talking about. And then we also have prosecutors alleging that the surveillance footage of the attack was sped up, which seemed to be more violent than it was. It was not as violent because it was sped up. Do I believe that? No. Okay, another revelation. Former hotel security guard says Combs offered him cash to stay quiet about the Cassie attack. So we do get more information on that, because we were like, well, why wouldn't the hotel do something if they had surveillance footage? It's because he was buying off these hotels and also buying off people on a regular basis. He had his circle very tight. He had the power, the money, and this is all coming out now. We do know, I'm not sure, is Cassie testifying? If she does testify, Cassie is super pregnant right now. The jurors have also been selected. They decided on 8 men and 4 women. I'm not sure their nationality. It doesn't say it in, or their ethnicity. It doesn't say it in this article, but yes. So the prosecution accuses Sean Diddy Combs of being a kingpin during his trial. This is going to get messy. A terrible missed opportunity for it to be filmed. I think it should have been filmed 110%, especially for Orlando Bloom. And Amber Heard's was filmed. Like, why wasn't this filmed? I also wonder if Blake Lively and, Justin Boldani, I wonder if their trial will be filmed, but that's not happening until I think 2026. The end of 2026. So we still got some time left of that. But those were your reality topics. I had to put the headphones on. We're going to get into this Bravo Real Housewives of Atlanta recap. You're listening to What the Reality with me, Kasha Roberts. So diving right into Real Housewives of Atlanta, Kelly is moving on out of her townhome. She said it was supposed to be a temporary fix to a terrible problem. They did come out of a huge mansion. I think the townhouse is cute, but I can't imagine living there with 4 girls. I mean, she has 4 daughters, and then herself. It doesn't look that big for them, and they're definitely outgrowing it. She talks about having a positive dynamic with Chloe's dad. Chloe is her oldest, and she calls him basically a brother. I don't understand these housewives' obsession, her and Portia included, with calling their baby daddies their brother. That is weird. There's nothing brotherly about that. Okay, what else is going on in this episode? We have Shamea meeting up with Ralph. Shamea is being messy. And then guess who pops up? Portia. But before even Portia pops up, Shamea's saying it's not weird because her and Ralph have worked together. So what have they done? They've done a podcast together, and I think they probably did 10 minutes of a podcast together. I think she was a guest on the podcast. So all of a sudden that means that her and, Ralph are cool. And now Ralph wants to start a new podcast, and it's called Kings and Queens. And he's trying to get some money because he's not the breadwinner. So Shamea is, I have in my notes, she is being Portia's sidekick because Portia does come through, and it just shows how much of a hypocrite Portia is. Even though you're disliking Drew right now, you're the only one that's still adding fuel to this fire. Whenever Drew has a scene, she's not talking about Portia, but whenever Portia has a scene, she's talking about Drew. And that's why I say not having Simon on the show really screwed up Portia, because she wanted to show this soft life that Shamea has. Now that she can't show that because her man's being deported, she's just being nasty, vile, and she's just literally playing with her fingernails because she's trying to search for a storyline. She's playing hide and seek. She's like, let me see what I can do to get a storyline, because my storyline was supposed to be my soft life. Now my best friend is living that soft life. Now I got to pretend to really get along with my best friend, even though I'm low-key hating on her. And now I got to bring in my baby daddy for some drama, because that's exactly what Portia is doing. She has no storyline, and it's beyond annoying to watch her do all of this. So it's like, you're upset at Drew for filming with Dennis. So in retaliation, you pull up a seat and run up Ralph's bill, and he can't afford to get you a lobster bisque, a salad. He cannot afford that. But y'all are running up the tab, and it just looks so bad. I was very disappointed in Shamea because I'm like, this is why people call you her lapdog. And you really think we don't believe Portia knew he was sitting there? Portia's like, she had no clue he was sitting there. Portia, you knew he was sitting there, and we know that he was sitting there and he was going to be in scene. That's not how these scenes work. It's not like, the production definitely tells you what is going on before you show up to a scene. But Portia wants us to believe that because she constantly wants to remind us that she's the victim. She's the victim in all these situations. These people have wronged her. That was me sounding off on Shamea and Portia and why I think it's about a lot of BS. But back to the scene. She keeps talking about how, and Shamea's trying to investigate if Drew and Dennis are sleeping together. They are not. And then they bring up the text message about how Portia said that she asked him, could we trade intimacy for me paying you, essentially saying that Drew was trying to sleep with Drew. Drew was trying to sleep with Drew. Drew was trying to sleep with Dennis instead of paying him for the music they've been making. So she's been trying to cut a deal or whatever. Do I think that's true? No. These are some serious allegations you are making up, Portia. And then Ralph talks about how his and Drew's relationship really went from 0 to 100. Like, they were dating for 3 months. I think he proposed at 3 months. They got married at 5 months. She was pregnant at 8 months. Their relationship was very fast, but I also think Ralph saw Drew as Drew Sidora. Drew Sidora was popping back then. She just came off from the game. And he was like, let me lock this girl down. I think he was love bombing her. But then it kind of puts in perspective, Drew and Ralph really didn't know each other that much before they got married. So the fact that they're not working out is not shocking because we meet Ralph on the show in Tampa. He wasn't even home. He was away on a holiday vacation in Tampa because he needed to clear his mind and get some free thoughts from what's going on in his relationship. He couldn't handle the relationship at the moment. So that's how we meet Ralph on the show 3 seasons ago when Drew first started. Drew been on for, I think it's been more than 3 seasons. So I thought that was interesting because I never understood. I didn't know that the story, their relationship timeline was that sudden and quick. It's very sudden, very quick. Okay, so what else happens? Ralph also says that he had no clue that Portia was coming. But Ralph is basically saying, like, this Drew that's on here, he has no idea who she is. Like, he's saying this is not the woman he fell in love with. And I'm pretty sure Drew can argue you are not the man she fell in love with. I mean, vice versa. Ralph, Ralph is seeking help for his job. He needs help. And that is the only reason this is happening. Shamea and Portia are running up his check. Portia is still talking about the streets and assuming things that we know are not true. And then Ralph brings up Ty Young because the ladies are like, did you ever cheat on Drew? And then they're asked, like, who filed first? And he said he filed first. There was a race to the courthouse to see who would file first. And then he brings up the Ty Young of it all, which I essentially assumed was Drew's kind of way of like, I don't want my kids to see, because remember, she wanted to keep that divorce case locked and sealed for a specific reason. She's like, oh, if it comes out, it'll be worse on Ralph. No, if it comes out, I think there was something out there that Drew did not want to know. But we revisit this whole Ty Young of it all. And so the initial reports were that Ty Young cheated on Mimi Foss, allegedly. That's what Mimi Foss put out there with Drew. And now we're circling back to that because Ralph is doubling down on that. Drew has said she did not cheat on Ralph, but we do get flashback scenes of her saying she was enjoying this person's time and this person was making her laugh. That person was Ty Young. Was there an overlap? That's something we'll never know. Maybe we will know if you guys unseal the divorce case, however people do that. But I think that's the only reason we would know is if that's unsealed. And then if it's in the documents that she had an affair, I don't believe that Ralph didn't have an affair, because why else are you going to Tampa for 3 days to clear your mind? And you didn't even tell your family you were in Tampa. She could have thought you were in freaking Vegas for all she knew on a boys trip. Like, why Tampa? And why not Miami? I don't know. I just feel like Tampa was very specific. Like, what were you doing in Tampa? But so that's that scene. Shamea meeting up with Ralph, Portia joining on. Very messy, very disturbing. Next thing we get, Angela and Kelly are meeting up, and Angela is showing Kelly around her rental. Or is it a rental? What is it called? It's her property that she flipped. She flipped it, and now she's trying to get it on the market. She was trying to get it on the market in 10 days. In the state and condition it was in, I was like, Angela, this house isn't going anywhere on the market. And then she's trying to get 2.5 million, 3 million in Atlanta, and it looked like that. The house was terrible. The house was terrible. And I don't know. Kelly is looking for a house, so that's maybe why she came through. Remember, Angela and Kelly, they're not cool, but Angela is looking at a lot of the ladies differently because she thinks Portia is a puppet master. Portia said all of this stuff. She did say the stuff. It was confirmed. Thanks, Kelly, for confirming it. So they meet up, and Angela, I just have in my notes, the house is terrible. It's not worth it. She shows Kelly the closet. I don't even know how someone would store clothes in the closet. The box was super small. The pool wasn't done. The house was very dusty. If it's going on the market in 10 days, do not expect a call back, Angela. So then Angela sits down Kelly and was just saying how disappointed she was in Kelly for not sticking up for her when Portia said, I should just F Charles Oakley. And she was like, Kelly, and then Angela also like confronted Kelly, is like, you alluded that you knew something in my relationship. And that's one thing I will say about Angela. She gets straight to the point. She's like, you said this during a conversation that while I was having with someone else. What do you know about my relationship? So the rumors and nastiness out there is that Charles had a baby on Angela. And she brings up the Wendy Williams story, which I thought was very like good. I was like, Angela's a really good housewife. This is a really good housewife. I'm putting her in the first time housewives. Okay, my light just went out. I had to plug it in. Okay, so she tells the story about Wendy Williams and why Wendy Williams assumed it was Charles she was talking about. So she talked about, and she went into more detail on this on the after show, so I'm just going to say it. But she said that, I guess, Wendy Williams and Charles Oakley, they were on some cooking thing. They know each other. And she said this was at the point of time where, you know, Wendy Williams and her ex-husband, Kevin, had been in the news because he had a baby on her. So she went up to Wendy Williams and essentially said, it is okay. It's just a baby. And Wendy Williams took that as her looking at Charles Oakley saying, oh my gosh, did this happen to you? And she's like, yes. So Angela is talking about this happened with Amari. I think her daughter's name is Amaria, her father. And she talks about how this was the love of her life, how she lost her virginity to this man, how Angela didn't know she was the side chick. He had a whole other family. And Amaria has a son, Amari. I'm sorry if I cannot remember that name, her name. She literally has a brother that is not even a year older. I think like a couple months older than her or something. So Angela was also pregnant while her baby daddy, had someone else pregnant. But she just talks about like getting through that and how like Amaria is the best thing that's ever happened in her life and how she was able to push through that. So I think she was telling Wendy Williams in relation to that, because I think Angela still like stayed with him after all of that. It took her a while to like leave him. I don't know if she left him after that. I would be interested to know more about that situation, because that's a situation. Angela has some situations and she's speaking on them, and that's what makes her such a good housewife. And that's why I think that Portia is so threatened by her, because she's being honest and she's living in her truth, and that's something Portia could never do. And that's just the reality of it. So, and then she also talks about how, like, because Kelly asked her about, like, she's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was happening, because Kelly assumed it was about the Charles thing. But then she was like, and then Angela just talks about how like difficult it is to be married to someone like Charles, and like, you know, the groupies that came with it. And then this is where we also get a little more detail as to what happened at Madison Square Garden. And apparently that was also a time of contention in the relationship because Charles was creeping around. And I said this because the way she told the story initially about Madison Square Garden, she told it initially like, oh, he got kicked out of Madison Square Garden because him and the owner do not get along, and we chose to separate after that. That's one thing she said. Now we're finding out more information. Around that time was a major blow to his ego. I guess he had a very difficult time adjusting to married life, and he thought it would be okay to still have these groupies around. And Angela said there was a point where she was literally Googling legal documents, trying to get it separating. They separated during that time, and it just so happened to be around the time he was, you know, getting kicked out of Madison Square Garden because he needed an ego boost, an ego stroke or something. So that is why they were separating, is because around that time he was also cheating or messing around, doing things he had no business doing as a married man. And that's the rest of the story. So I say Angela's really good at like dropping these dimes throughout the season. And I'm just like, well, what are you talking about? Like, also we find out that her daughter was married initially, right? The other dime is her daughter was married. Her daughter got married to a woman. We didn't know that. I feel like Angela's really good at kind of like wanting the audience to keep knowing, like we are intrigued by her. And it's like she keeps us coming back for more, because I'm like, girl, we did not know all of this stuff. But I always said that when she told the Madison Square Garden story, it made no sense. And that is why she wants to get a vow renewal, because their relationship was almost over. Angela, amazing housewife pick. Very good. Putting her up there, like I said, with Angie. With Wendy, when Wendy Osefo came on, Bronwyn is a good first-time housewife. And that's all I can think about right now. That's literally all I can think about right now. Okay, so we got that background. Next, we get a scene with Britt with her husband. And I will say about Britt's husband, he seems to be warming up to the TV a lot more. My door was just moving, maybe from the wind. Okay, so he seems to be warming up a lot on screen. He doesn't seem to come off as like a jerk anymore. And yeah, that's just something I had noticed. But he also set up a meeting with Britt's sister Cheryl. So he set up a meeting with her so they can get some things squared away. We do eventually get a flashback of that. And like I said, he's coming off so much more cooler and supportive of his wife. So I'm like, it does take people a while to really warm up on camera because you got to like admit, like, it's so weird. And eventually you have to get to a place where you're like forgetting the camera's even there. So that situation happened. And then we're getting a Portia and Angela meet up, and we find out that Portia was not invited to Angela's main house because Angela's like, now, if a girl tells me she wants to F my husband, I will not be inviting that woman to my house. And I'm just like, that's what makes Angela a good housewife. We're not forgetting what you said. We can kumbaya for the moment, but we're not going to forget what you were alleging just a couple of nights ago. And that's why she's pulling up to the rental or whatever, the fixer-upper house that Angela is trying to sell in 10 days. Has a tennis court, yada, yada, yada. The ladies play tennis. And what else happens? Portia and her talk about Shamea. So they sit down. And Angela, I think, is still upset with Portia and Shamea for the Charles Oakley comment. So she is at a point now where she's trying to stir the pot. She's definitely stirring the pot. She clocked in overtime. She brings up to Portia how Shamea had confided in her and how she didn't want to be Portia's lapdog. Portia starts crying. And then the scene just ends. But before that, we get, do you understand why Shamea would feel that sort of way? And Portia's like, I don't understand why, because I shared my dream cast of housewives and Shamea was on there. She said, the only thing I told Shamea was that Gerald does not want to film, and I don't know how good of a housewife that makes you. So we get that. Apparently, Portia said Shamea is on her Mount Rushmore for Atlanta housewives. Do I believe it? Yes, but I also think you're just telling your friend to kind of just shut her up, because now we do know Kandi is the one that was pushing so hard for Shamea to get on Real Housewives of Atlanta. I don't even know if it was Portia. And Portia and her have been friends for since they were 16. And then Angela also drops some other bombs about how like Shamea did not like how she didn't come to her wedding. So they also talk about that. And like I said, Portia just starts crying. She just puts the fan over her. And I don't know. I just felt like it was super manipulative to do in that scene just to get out of a scene. But also people are saying she probably didn't want to argue on camera or talk about her friend on camera. I don't know. Angela has stirred the pot, and this is kind of setting the scene for what's going to happen next. So we finally get a scene with Drew, and I keep forgetting, like, I feel like we're treating Drew like a friend of this season because, like, I know she's going through so much, but I feel like I always forget when she comes back on screen. So we find out in this scene that is not in the court order to tell the kids about the divorce. And I'm just like, I did not know that could be in a court order. And if you go against it, you can get in some serious legal trouble. So the kids still do not know. And then we also get a flashback scene of Angela talking to Drew. I think it was Drew and Britt. This was also a flashback scene. Angela's working OT again and did tell Drew that Shamea and Portia were with Ralph. So yes, Britt was also in that. Not Britt. Kelly was also in that scene. So Angela had a couple of visits to make. And like I said, she is furthermore she's stirring the pot, but she's being a very good anchor of the show. So she tells Drew that they did meet up with Ralph. Also, Angela told her that Dennis showed a text message alleging that Drew was trying to exchange, SX for money so that she didn't have to pay him back for producing her album. And Drew is just like, you're literally making this up. Like, he's literally making it up. I think he is, and I don't think the text messages said that, because when Portia confronts him in the episode before, he was like, what? You've totally misinterpreted what I was saying. You totally missed the message. And I think she did. I do think she did. All right. So I also had to point out, because Drew, she just never dresses for her body type. It's like kind of like Brittany from The Valley. Drew, you can tell her Gucci two-piece outfit was not giving. It was giving up her hoo-ha. And you could just tell she was so uncomfortable in it. And Drew's a gorgeous girl, but I feel like she just had to wear that on camera. And she couldn't wait for her size to restock, because it just looked like a size too small. Like, it looked like she had bad camel toe too. I'm just like, Drew, what are we doing? But when one thing she did get right is that one confessional look with the white and like the smoky eye that's like white too. Like, it's like a nude smoky eye. Like, how do you do a nude smoky eye? I don't know, but she successfully did it. It was beautiful. The next scene we get is Portia's Pampered by Portia event. It's very lovely. It's like a lingerie event. I don't know if the women were paid, because it basically looks like they were doing promo for the show. I mean, for her lifestyle brand. And I just find it so funny how Drew like pokes fun, because she's like, now my Go Naked contract was terminated. Am I getting a contract for Portia's Pampered by Portia's? Or you know what I mean? Like, it was just funny. I'm like, I'm like, Drew can still kid and joke. Portia cannot. Well, she can, but it's just like, I feel like Portia is barely on Drew's mind, because Drew just has so much going on. And you can just tell Portia doesn't have anything going on. And that's why she's always grasping for straws. But in this scene, we get Mike and Sherry. So we do get the rest of Britt's scene with her husband. And she's talking about it with Kelly. And she's talking about how they did meet up and they had a successful talk. And then we get a flashback of Mike and Sherry meeting. And Mike is basically like, look, I'm not the one telling her when she can come home or not. I'm not controlling. Britt has free will to do whatever. I'm not that controlling type of guy. And I can just tell he's very sincere in this. And that's what makes me think that it is Britt really stirring the pot. I think she's one of those women that, like, when she has a husband, like, she's like, she weaponizes it even towards her sisters, because she's like, you're not desirable enough to have a husband. I have a husband waiting on me at home. And I think that's what rubs me super like the wrong way. And that's what rubbed me the wrong way when she was confronting Kenya, because she's like, let me go talk to my husband. And that's why I'm still confused, because she still doesn't have the wedding band. Like, she still doesn't have the next wedding band on. She still has an engagement ring on. So I'm like, did y'all get married or not? Either way, I'm low-key liking Mike, because he does seem like a cool guy. But like I said, I think he was just very anxious and annoyed with his wife initially, because she was doing too much, and maybe they're like more comfortable. So the other part of this scene, so the ladies arrive to the Portia's event, and like I said, it's very cute inside. Shamea and Portia's friendship cracks are starting to show. People are like planting seeds. So we had a conversation between Shamea and Brett before the hell meditation. And then we get a conversation with Angela and Shamea, I'm pretty sure, or Angela and Portia. Like, they're not, you can just tell something is a must. And this is a really good episode to me. So then we get Shamea saying she's too upset she can't even lay down in these lingerie beds. I'm just like, why are we in lingerie doing meditation? I would just feel so uncomfortable. I'm like, where are my yoga pants? So then Portia starts shushing Shamea and Kelly, because Kelly goes over there to check on Shamea, because she's like, you're not laying down. Like, is everything okay? And like I said, Shamea's like, I'm too uncomfortable to relax. So then we get Portia shushing them, which is like adding fuel to the fire. Shamea is very out of it. She does not want to hear it. She's clearly uncomfortable, and I don't blame her. And then we get Kelly saying that people feel like, so then the meditation starts. This is or this is after the meditation. Now they're trying to have a mediation. So Kelly speaks for the group and says that people feel like Shamea cannot shine because Portia will not allow her to. Portia's is acting very distant, very cold, like she doesn't really want to talk about it. And I'm just like, this is your friend. Like, maybe you should address it while you guys can. But Portia is she's high key disrespectful. Like, she's like, woe is me. Like, oh my gosh, I'm terrible. I'm the piece of crap or whatever. So then we do learn that Portia did not go to her Kenya wedding because they had a falling out, her and Shamea, a month, 2 months prior to the wedding. If that's my friend, why are you even falling out with your friend before her wedding? If that's your good friend. And that's how I know Portia is just so jealous of Shamea, because that could never be me. Like, you're falling out intentionally with your friend 2 months before her wedding, stressing her out even further when you're probably the bridesmaid. Like, what sense does that make? But that's what we find out. Thank the Lord for Twitter. So on Twitter, there's a resurfaced clip a couple seasons ago of Shamea and Portia getting into it. The reason back then Portia did not come to the weddings because she was sick and she could not fly that long in coach. It had nothing to do with a falling out. And even in this scene, Shamea said she didn't even know you didn't come because y'all had a falling out before. Like, Shamea is even learning this information with us. She did not know that. So she came to her traditional wedding, but she did not come to the Kenya wedding. And I'm hearing the traditional wedding was basically like a vow renewal. Like, the actual wedding is in Kenya. And Portia didn't show up to that, which is so shocking because Portia and Phaedra love a good Nigeria, Kenya trip now. Like, they just love to go over there and get them a man. But she didn't show up for her friend. And this is an ongoing pattern for Portia. She doesn't really show up for Shamea. I think she's really jealous of her. I think she's really jealous. I'm going to talk about Watch Robin's Live. But I think she's really jealous of Shamea. Okay, so next we also get Shamea believing that Portia only wanted her to remain a friend, not a housewife. So this gets brought up again. So remember, it got brought up between Angela and Portia when Portia was like, she did share her Dream Wives cast to Shamea, and she told her, yes, you are on the list as a housewife. My only issue is that Gerald does not want to film. Well, Portia, Simon can't film. So what does that make you? I just feel like, okay. And then Portia, but then Shamea's like, but you showed me the receipts to show that you also wanted me to become a housewife. And I said this, as soon as Shamea became a housewife, there was going to be friction. Portia loves when her friends are doing great just below her, though. She doesn't like when they start superseding her, when they start doing better. The people loved Shamea initially when she came on Real Housewives of Atlanta this season because she brought wealth, she brought laughs, she brought the looks, like, she looks good. And we all think that Portia was definitely threatened by that. And I still think she's threatened by that 110%. So then Shamea also doesn't understand how, Angela and Portia got so close after Portia was literally the one that said, I want to screw your husband. But Angela still cannot let go of the fact that Shamea chuckled. And I'm actually on Shamea's side when it comes to that, because I'm like, what was the point of that? Like, it wasn't really that deep. If I'm laughing, I'm not going to check my friend. But I just think that makes Shamea a loyal person. I don't think that makes her a lapdog in that instance. It's like, especially when you're drinking, no one's remembering what the other person says. I'm going to be like, girl, you were crazy. I'm about to stop having fun and be like, girl, don't say that. I can't believe you. And I'm not going to cause a whole scene. So I don't know what Angela was expecting. But that's really how the episode ends. Looking forward. So it looks like the next episode, Portia and Shamea are going to have a sit down. We don't know how this sit down is going to go, but I will continue to say this. Portia does not like the fact that Shamea is living this soft life that Portia thought she was going to be living and that she was going to be showing on Real Housewives of Atlanta. She does not like that Shamea is now the one showing that, and that her friend is a housewife. She thought her friend was going to stay someone she could film with for her show, for an ally for her. And that's why she was never pushing her to become a housewife. It was always Kandi Burruss. it all circles back to Kandi Burruss. Like, it really does. She gave producers that last gem. I want to talk about Watch What Happens Live, though. You are listening to What the Reality with me, Cassia Roberts. Let's get into Watch What Happens Live because Shamea was on there with Ariana Madix, who looked amazing. Ariana Madix and Danielle are still together. So let's get into the Watch What Happens live show. And like I said, Ariana and Danielle are still together. They've been together now for 2 years. And Andy asked if there was any announcements. And I don't know, I overanalyze everything. But the way Ariana was not disturbed by that question before, if you asked her that, if she was in a relationship with Tom Sandoval, is there any announcements? What's going on in your relationship? She wanted to stay boyfriend, girlfriend with that man forever. There was no chance that she wanted to become his wife. So the fact that like she's like, no announcement, but she was like giddy about it, I think there's a chance that she's found the right man for her. And I really thought this was going to be a rebound. It's proven not to be a rebound. It was proven to be a good relationship for her, but I also think she was checked out of that relationship as well a pretty long time before her and Tom actually broke up. So what else happened in this episode? Watch Happens Live. Shamea got super emotional during a commercial break because her and Portia are not on good terms. She actually used this. She was like, they used to be like this, but they are like this now. And she got super emotional about it. Also, her mom was in the audience, and Danielle was also in the audience for Ariana. But you could just tell she got super emotional and she started tearing up because this is a 30 plus friendship. It's very unfortunate that the show kind of was a determining factor for the fact that they are no longer together, like they're no longer as close. But from my understanding, they've always been on and off as friends. They've been cool one moment, and then the next moment they haven't been cool. We also learned that Shamea herself did not know that was the reason Portia did not go to her Kenyan wedding. So like I said, Shamea's also finding out things that she didn't know, and she's finding them out with us, the audience, which also does not feel good. What else happened in this episode? She said that, and that's when I talk about like the clip that's circulating on social media about, you know, Portia saying she was sick during that time and like she couldn't do it flying in coach for that long. And then we also get Shamea saying she is done reaching out to Portia. She says she hopes their friendship gets to a better place, but she says she wants that same loyalty and respect to her. She said the only reason these women are talking about their friendship is because Portia has opened that door. I think y'all both did. Shamea clearly is the type like that will bite her tongue to Portia. We saw it in a scene. She bit her tongue when she did not like the way she was talking over her track and saying, oh, this is Drew singing, this isn't you singing. Why would you as a friend try to embarrass me in front of a group of women? One woman that I just got cool with. Like, Portia was trying her. And then we get a scene of them playing mini golf in the next scene. And Shamea still doesn't confront Portia because she's like, I know Portia is going through a lot and I don't want to add to that. So you clearly wanted to get something off of your chest and you were clearly struggling with that. And that is okay. But I'm just saying, like, let's not say it's all Portia. That's when I disagree with Shamea. Shamea also addresses the infamous lapdog comment, and she said she calls it loyalty. And like she said, she would just like it to go the same way with Portia because Portia doesn't do the same for her. Portia would never do the same for her. And that's the real tea. Shamea also reads Angela last minute, and I was here for it. She was like talking about, why are you still upset with me when you're literally cool with the girl that was saying all these things about your husband? She said, why does this have anything to do with me? And like I said, I'm with Shamea when it comes to that. Angela, I think it was a reach. In terms of Ariana, though, she did make it clear who she is on good terms with and who she is not on good terms with. Of course, her and Katie are doing good. I think they just hit their 1-year anniversary of something about her. She said that's doing well. They had a sandwich shop. I also think Ariana will be going back to Chicago, the play. the musical. She said she would love to do it, and she said there may be something in the works. Love Island is coming out very soon in June. So we're about to start seeing Ariana on our screen. So like I said, she has this dark hair now. She looks good. She looks really good. I always love seeing Ariana because she just looks amazing. But we also learned that her and Sheena are cool. It's never going to be what it used to be. And then her and Lala still have not talked. And I'm so glad because I thought Ariana was too nice to Lala. So I'm so glad that she's staying firm on that girl has talked so much crap about you last season, wanting to use you as a storyline. So period, that she's like, nope, we still have not talked since the reunion. But you can just tell Ariana is media trained because she was not messy in anything she said. And that's why I love Ariana. That's why I'm starting like Paige DeSorbo. You can tell when these reality stars, they get a little fame passing Bravo. And then I'm media trained. I cannot bother to be in this mess like the people that you want me to talk about because they love to eat it up. And then finally, I just want to talk about Bravo's Love Hotel because I am enjoying it. It is a fun show. You are listening to What the Reality with me, Cassia Roberts. We did just do the Real Housewives of Atlanta recap. I don't know how many episodes we got. I think we probably got a good 4, maybe 5. So Phaedra isn't coming on next week. She's coming on the following week. And it just so happens on my podcast, something else will be aligning when Phaedra is on there. And I think you guys will be really interested in. I'm going to be doing something about the whole Phaedra of it all, just in time for her return on Atlanta. And then we also did the Watch Happens Live recap. We talked about some reality topics. Now I want to talk about Bravo's Love Hotel and then a quick Brava Awards in closing this thing out. Bravo Love Hotel is keeping me entertained because it's just something fun to watch. So Luann has finally found a connection because I'm like, I know Luann has a perfect match, but let's talk about the men that they bring on. The men they bring on, no. And Giselle just so happens to know one of the men because she used to date his cousin. So Giselle likes none of the men that come in. They're really weird. There's a Craig guy that's on there. And I'm just like, where are y'all getting these men from? So Ashley runs into another guy she likes. His name is Jason. Jason has a super high voice. He's attractive, but the voice would be a turnoff for me. Anna's another man we know she don't like. And I was so vindicated because it turns out she did not like this man. She liked another man this whole time. Luann had a shocking connection to Adam because Adam shares the same birthday as her father. Not the year, but the same birthday, 7/17. And then Luann just goes off and starts crying because she's just like, what are the odds? And it's just so funny because Luann has said in the first episode how she does everything in sevens, like 7 years. Like she was married for 7 years and then she got divorced 7 years later. And then 7 years later, she met this other guy and then you know how that went or whatever. And now she's looking for a husband. Now she's been single 7 years and then he was like 7/17. And you could just tell she was so shocked. I love Luann. I would love to see Luann back on the screen for sure. Earl and Shannon, they are getting into it about veggies in California. I don't watch Shannon on Real Housewives of OC. I never got into OC, but Shannon is a lot. She's very dramatic. And this is a sober Shannon. She's not drinking right now. I don't know how she was when she wasn't sober. She asked this man, why don't you eat vegetables? And she looked at him in a disgusting way. I didn't think it was that deep for him to point out, like, why do you look like you want to slap me or whatever? It was just weird. They kept missing each other. I think they were trying to both be funny with each other, but they were missing the mark a lot. And then she starts talking to Phil about California because Phil lives down there. He has a house in Bel-Air. She starts talking to him. And then she's like, well, you can join in too, Earl. And he's like, well, I have no input on the matter. I don't know about California. She's like, yeah, well, you could still join in. And he's like, what is up with you criticizing me today? I did think it was weird when she was like, you can still join in. I feel like she was low-key picking at Earl. And oh my gosh, I'm not a male apologizer. But I do think she was kind of picking at him at that dinner. Like, I don't think she likes Earl. And I also think they trauma bonded way too early. what else happened in Bravo's Love Hotel? We also get Ashley breaking it off with Wale. And I just feel like I missed something in between because last I knew, y'all were very giddy about each other. And then all of a sudden it's Wale's not funny. He takes himself too serious now when you see Jason. But we also are learning about Ashley. She really wants to immerse herself in this experience. And I don't think she wants to be tied down with Wale. And then we also get a weird pivot because I thought Luann was connecting with Adam. She wanted him to stay. And then we get a conversation with this James guy. And I think Luann and James have a lot more in common than her and Adam do. So she basically is like flirting with James in front of Adam. And this is why I love Luann, because it's just like such good television. And she's just totally carefree. Like, she doesn't care that there's another man that's there interested in her while she's flirting with this other guy that she didn't even notice was there 2 episodes ago. So I thought that was funny. And then, yeah, Shannon has a complete meltdown. And that's why I'm like, y'all, I don't know her. I wouldn't know that woman. I don't watch her on OC. So Shannon, my first interactions of Shannon has been this. I've probably watched a couple of seasons of OC back in the day when Kelly Dodd was on. But Shannon just started like crying and having a meltdown about Earl. And I just felt like that man was not worth it. However, we do find out Shannon was super emotional because it was her 1 year DUI anniversary. And she had shared that with Earl. So she just was shocked that they were getting into it, and she thought he would have moved very differently that day. So we do get some context as to why Shannon does seem to be an emotional mess, because I did think she was like picking at him a little bit. I thought it was a little weird. But now it's because, okay, it is an emotional time right now. So now Wale is giving the cold shoulder to Ashley. We also get Giselle having an intimate conversation with Jay, just saying how she wants him to be himself. We also get Ralph confessing that he just wants to pursue Giselle. So that's what's going on with Giselle. I only say this because Ashley's leaving to say goodnight to everyone. She says goodbye to Wale. He gives her the cold shoulder. And somehow we end up on, there's 2 really great guys there for Ashley. And one of the men is Ralph. Ralph, who just told your castmate from Potomac that he's fully interested in getting to know Giselle. And out of nowhere, we get Ashley saying she's always been interested in Ralph and she's trying not to go there, but she is. And maybe she could fix her daddy issues. And that is why I would continue to say Ashley Darby does not like Black men. I'm sorry, she does not. And even if he was older and had money, she does not. So she was never kidding me when she was interested in Wale and Jason. I'm shocked Ralph is her type. She normally likes him a lot less attractive. Like, I'm shocked she even liked Ralph. But we know how Ashley is. But I also think Ashley's really, really just wants to be into this experience, and she just wants to do her big one like Luann. But Luann may accidentally fall in love. I don't know. But Luann's like the ultimate dater. But when she falls in love, she falls hard. But it was not shocking to me that Ashley's now trying to steal Ralph from Giselle. I'm now more interested in this next episode because when Giselle finds out, she's going to come for Ashley, as she should, because they definitely have an ally ever since they have an alliance ever since Karen went to prison. So that was Bravo's Love Hotel. I thought it was a really good episode. We were setting some tracks in the foundation. I wonder how many episodes they have. I think it's like 10. But I finally want to get to my Brava awards. And of course, it's going to Angela Oakley because Kelly was also my favorite, like Carlos King said on his podcast. Kelly was my favorite newbie. Now that I've given it some time, Angela really is a good first housewife, y'all. And on top of that, just learning she was supposed to been on Real Housewives of Atlanta. She knows Nene Leakes. She really merges in. She's the anchor, the Sheree Whitfield bone collector. Really enjoyed her this episode, just kind of setting all of these little traps, and people were literally falling for them. But period, Angela Oakley. Thank you so much for listening to What the Reality with me, Cassia Roberts. Until the next time. Period. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast, What the Reality with me, Cassia Roberts. Don't forget to leave a 5-star rating and a comment wherever you listen to your podcast. Let me know what I should be doing. Let me know how I'm doing. All compliments are welcome. Until the next time.